Genesis 2, 4 through 25. At the time when Adonai made the heavens and the earth, there was still no wild bush on the earth, nor had any wild plant sprung up. For Adonai had not yet sent rain to the earth, and there was no human being to till the soil. Instead, a flow of water would well up from the ground and irrigate the soil. So Adonai fashioned an earth creature out of the clay of the earth, and blew into its nostrils the breath of life, and the earth creature became a living being. Adonai planted a garden to the east in Eden, land of pleasure, and placed in it the earth creature that had been made. Then Adonai caused every kind of tree, enticing to look at and good to eat, to spring from the soil. In the center of the garden was the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. A river flows through Eden to water the garden, after which it branches into 4 tributaries. The first stream is named Pishon, or spreader. It circles through Havilah, a land rich in gold, gold of the highest quality. There are gum resins there and precious onyx stones. The second stream is named Gihon, or Gusher, and it flows through the entire land of Cush. The third stream is the Tigris, which borders Assyria on the east. The fourth stream is the Euphrates. Then Adonai took the earth creature and settled it in the Garden of Eden, so that it might cultivate and care for the land. Adonai commanded the earth creature, "You may eat as much as you like from any of the trees of the garden, except the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. You must not eat from that tree, for on the day you eat from that tree, that is the day you will die. Yes, die." Then Adonai said, "It is not good for the earth creature to be alone. I will make a fitting companion for it." So from the soil Adonai formed all the various wild beasts and all the birds of the air, and brought them to the earth creature to be named. Whatever the earth creature called each one, that became its name. The earth creature gave names to all the cattle, all the birds of the air, and all the wild animals. But none of them proved to be a fitting companion. So Adonai made the earth creature fall into a deep sleep, and while it slept, God divided the earth creature in 2, then closed up the flesh from its side. Adonai then fashioned the 2 halves into male and female, and presented them to one another. When the male realized what had happened, he exclaimed, "This time, this is the one, bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. Now she will be woman, and I will be man, because we are of one flesh." This is why people leave their parents and become bonded to one another, and the 2 become one flesh. Now the woman and the man were both naked, though they were not ashamed. Santa Sabiduría, Santa Palabra. Gracias a Dios.
A reading from the Gospel of Mark. Returning to the synagogue, Jesus met someone who had a withered hand. Now the religious authorities were watching to see if Jesus would heal the individual on the Sabbath day, as they were hoping for some evidence to use against Jesus. He said to the afflicted one, "Stand and come up front." Then he turned to them and said, "Is it permitted to do a good deed on the Sabbath or an evil one? To preserve life or destroy it?" At this, they remained silent. Jesus looked around at them with anger, for he was deeply grieved that they had closed their hearts so. Then Jesus said to the person, "Stretch out your hand." The other did so, and the hand was perfectly restored. The Pharisees went out at once and began to plot with the Herodians, discussing how to destroy Jesus. La palabra de Dios. Friends, you may be seated. I think an awful lot of us come to this text in Genesis a little bit like those folks in the synagogue who were watching Jesus to see what was going to go wrong. Because at some level, that's how we've been taught to read the story of Genesis, right? The key part of Genesis is don't eat the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, because when you do it, you'll die. We are obsessed with that as the center of the story. Pages and pages of theology are written on how death comes into this story. And we forget all the rest of the story. Did you hear that story? A river flows up out of the ground. It is so abundant that it flows into 4 other rivers. And those of us who have any opportunity to have studied the history of the Middle East know that what we're talking about is what has often been taught as the cradle of life. So full of water and abundance. Lands flowing through the Middle East and through North Africa, giving water and life in the desert. A miracle. This is a story told around the campfires of a desert people who wander through the desert and for whom every bit of water is life. That's the story of Genesis, a story of life. So much water that every fruit of the tree and of the earth is present. And we get all of it.